Willie D Live.
What's up, family? A Cypress, Texas man who killed a high school friend in a late-night shooting was sentenced to 40 years in prison on Friday. I ain't got no problem with that, but some of y'all do, so let's talk about it. James Michael Sotelo, 21, received the sentence from a judge for the murder of Corey Thompson, a high school friend who was staying at his home on March 20, 2021. At the time of the shooting, Sotelo was an 18-year-old high school dropout and the victim was 17 years old. James fired a 9mm semi-automatic handgun at least 13 times as Corey was trying to go to bed around 3 a.m. The Harris County Sheriff's Office responded to the scene and found Corey was hit at least 11 times, several in the back. One bullet also went through the bedroom wall and struck James's brother in the face while he slept. The brother survived, and James was also convicted of deadly conduct for shooting him. Assistant District Attorney Kyle Tucker prosecuted the case in a 6-day trial in November. After the jury convicted James, he opted to have his punishment determined by the judge following a pre-sentence investigation. 8 months later, during a sentence on Friday, the judge sentenced James to 40 years in prison for the murder and 2 years for the deadly conduct. These sentences will run concurrently. Here's something I'd like to know. Why was a high school student hanging out with a dropout? Why was he permitted to stay overnight at Buddy's house? Look, man, we cool and everything, but once you drop out of school, we ain't on the same level anymore. We ain't got the same goals. I'm going in this direction, you're going in that direction. Now check this out, fam. Although it would not be an excuse, according to the defendant, this guy says he wasn't even intoxicated or on drugs. He never actually gave a reason. Now, the prosecutor said that this guy has to be put away because this is a cold-blooded murder and he had no reason. He gave no reason for why he killed his so-called friend. But I got one. That's right, I said it. I got a reason. You see, I find it interesting that anytime Black people and white people are together and they're supposed to be friends and somebody dies, it's always the Black person who dies. When somebody is killed, it's always the Black person who gets killed. You know, how many times have we heard about Black folks spending the night at their white friend's house? Black folks having a sleepover, or they're hanging out, they're hunting, they're swimming, they're fishing, they're playing basketball, and they end up somehow rolled up inside of a mat, dead. How? Why? I got a reason. I think I got it. Here's my theory. There are some white people, some, I said, not all. There are some white people who fantasize about harming Black bodies. They fantasize about killing Black people. This is real, fam. I ain't tripping. I know I'm not tripping because I'm just looking at history. I'm looking at thousands of cases that I've seen personally, that I've analyzed personally, that I've researched personally. No reason whatsoever to kill that person, to do what you did to that person, other than just pure hate and an itch to harm a Black body. And this comes from centuries of watching and hearing about the legacy of the brutalization of black people at the hands of white people. Some white people, I theorize this, man. I gotta go there, man. I mean, I know some of y'all gonna be mad because I'm saying it, but I know I'm telling the truth. Some white people, they feel it is their birthright to harm black bodies. You know how there are some people that are predisposed to, say, contaminating people's food? You know, like either spitting on somebody's food or urinating or doing something else to their food. You know, perhaps even putting some type of poison in the food just to get a reaction. There are people out there that's like that, man. There are people that work in the medical industry who will give patients the wrong dosage, the wrong medicine, and see how they react, and then come in and try to act like they're trying to save them or watch them die. There are some sick ass people in this world, and James is one of them. He never provided an excuse or a reason as to why he killed his so-called friend. When you see these police hopping out of their squad cars and just banging on black folks, they don't even know what's going on. All they see is another officer is talking to them and they're not getting what they want out of the person. All they just run, even if they got the situation, even if the other officer have the situation under control, they just gotta run right and charge them and tackle them and swing on them. Yeah, they're predisposed to that. Yeah, they're out there. The ones who did the drive-by killing on Tamir Rice, they're predisposed to harming black bodies. He had absolutely no empathy for that kid. No consideration for him being an 11-year-old kid. They just did the drive-by, saw black and boom, their eyes got big. You know, that's predisposed. Any of you remember the case of George Stinney? George was the 14-year-old black boy who was falsely accused of murdering 2 white girls in March of 1944. In April of 1944, he was tried, convicted, and sentenced to death in one day, a one-day trial. In June of 1944, they strapped him to an electric chair and shocked him to death. And check this out, family. Let me show you how much these uncivilized mutts believe in the Bible. George was prepared for the electric chair by using a Bible as a booster seat because he was too small to fit in the chair. Do you know how diabolical you have to be to execute a 14-year-old kid? Do you know how evil you have to be? Some people got that gene, fam. It ain't even learned. Some people got it. I believe some people got it in them. They just got it. They got the gene. And there's a lot of them out there. So you got to be careful. You got to be careful because you might have a cool white buddy, but your white buddy, brother or sister or cousin or friend of a friend might have it on his mind. And guess what happens? What I've seen happen in 100% of the cases. If it go down and a black person gets killed, the other white people, no matter how close they were to you, covers for them. I have yet to see a case where a black person was hanging out with their white friends and ended up dead, and a white person turned on them and said, no, this is what really happened. No, man, no. They stick together. Birds of a feather flock together. So perhaps that friend that you thought you had, the cool one, really wasn't all that cool. In fact, I ain't got to say perhaps. If they pulled one of those type of numbers, then no, they was not who you thought they were. They was not who you thought they were. And that's fact, you see? I'm not going to be silent so anybody else can be comfortable. I'm going to give you the truth. I'm going to tell you these hard truths. Shit is sad, man. It is sad. I'm not predisposed to harming anybody unless they try to harm me or mine. And then, man, I turn into Rakim. You'll see a side of me that you never seen. Yeah. No more talk.